And now Becky Lynch. Went for the manhandle slam. AJ turns it around. Tap out. Tap out. Punk and AJ win.
Revenge. Becky Lynch finally gets her revenge on AJ Lee, leaving her badly injured. The world of WWE has seen rivalries that shook the very core of the women's division, but none quite like this. None as fierce, personal, or venomous as the one between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. And now, after months of betrayal, sneak attacks, and psychological warfare, Becky Lynch has finally done the unthinkable. The man got her revenge, brutally, unapologetically, and in a way that has left AJ Lee badly injured and the entire WWE universe in absolute shock. Tonight, we dive into the chaos, the build-up, the betrayal, and the moment Becky finally snapped, and made AJ Lee regret ever crossing her path. It all began months ago, when AJ Lee made her shocking return to WWE television. After nearly a decade away from the company, fans erupted in disbelief when her music hit, "Let's Light It Up," echoed through the arena as the former Divas champion strutted down to the ring, smirking as if she had never missed a step. But this wasn't the AJ Lee fans remembered. This AJ was colder, sharper, and much more dangerous. She wasn't here to relive old glory, she was here to prove something. To prove that even in an era dominated by stars like Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Becky Lynch, she was still the measuring stick. When AJ confronted Becky Lynch on her first night back, it was electric. The two stood nose to nose in the center of the ring, two different generations of women's wrestling staring each other down. Becky, the fiery, battle-tested veteran who fought her way from NXT to the top of the mountain. And AJ, the woman who built the bridge that others walked on. The tension was instant. Becky extended her hand, showing respect. But AJ smirked, and slapped her. The crowd gasped as Becky's head whipped to the side, her fiery red hair flicking across her face. That single slap ignited a rivalry that would spiral out of control. For weeks, AJ tormented Becky. She mocked her promos, insulted her family, and even accused her of selling out to the same system she once rebelled against. AJ would often say things like, "Greater than, you used to be the man, Becky. But now, you're just another corporate product in leather pants." Becky, at first, tried to keep her composure. She'd been through wars, with Charlotte, Sasha, Bayley, Ronda. She knew the game, but AJ wasn't just playing mind games, she was cutting deep. The rivalry escalated during a segment on Raw when AJ interrupted Becky's match with Iyo Sky, distracting her long enough for Iyo to score a roll-up victory. As Becky sat up in disbelief, AJ climbed onto the announce table, mock clapping. "You're losing your touch, champ," she sneered. That was the beginning of Becky's descent into rage. Week after week, AJ kept pushing her buttons. She ambushed Becky backstage, left mocking notes on her locker, and even released old footage of Becky training in NXT, humiliating her by calling her a background extra in a Division I created. Becky tried to respond with words, but it was clear, AJ wasn't backing down. Finally, Becky had enough. She challenged AJ Lee to a match at SummerSlam. The WWE Universe erupted. A dream match that fans had waited years for was finally happening. Two eras colliding. The build-up was intense. Promos, sit-down interviews, and even a heated contract signing that nearly turned violent. AJ's words during that segment would haunt Becky forever. "Greater than, you talk about breaking barriers, Becky. But I was the barrier. I was the one every little girl looked up to long before you were calling yourself the man. You didn't build this house. You just moved into it after I built it." Becky's response was ice cold. "Greater than, you're right, AJ. You built it, but I rebuilt it, and tonight, I'm tearing it down with you inside." When SummerSlam arrived, the atmosphere was electric. The crowd was split down the middle, chants of AJ Lee mixed with "Let's go Becky." The match was everything fans hoped for. Fast-paced, emotional, brutal. Becky had control early, but AJ's cunning shone through. She targeted Becky's arm, mocking her every step of the way. "You're not the man anymore," she shouted as she locked in the Black Widow submission. But Becky refused to tap. The fire in her eyes said it all. She reversed the hold into a manhandle slam out of nowhere, and got the 3 count. Becky Lynch won the match. But what happened after that would haunt both women forever. As Becky celebrated in the ring, AJ extended her hand. The crowd applauded, sensing a moment of respect. Becky hesitated, but then reached out and shook it. Then, in an instant, AJ struck again. She yanked Becky toward her and smashed her with a hidden steel chain she had wrapped around her wrist. The impact echoed through the arena. Becky collapsed, blood trickling from her forehead. AJ stood over her, laughing like a maniac. The WWE Universe was in stunned silence. AJ screamed, "You'll never be better than me," before dropping the chain beside Becky's motionless body. That was the night AJ Lee crossed the line. For weeks, Becky was absent from TV. Reports surfaced that she had suffered a concussion and a deep laceration. Fans wondered if she would ever come back. AJ, meanwhile, flaunted her victory, calling herself the real queen of wrestling. She appeared on SmackDown wearing a leather jacket with "The Woman Who Beat the Man" stitched across the back. Every week, she'd mock Becky's absence. "Guess she couldn't handle a little pain," AJ taunted on commentary. Maybe she finally realized who really runs this business. But what AJ didn't realize was that Becky Lynch was coming back, and she was coming back for revenge. 1 month later, during an episode of Raw, AJ Lee was cutting yet another promo, bragging, taunting, basking in the heat of the crowd, when suddenly, the arena lights went out. The crowd erupted, and then, a single phrase echoed through the darkness. "The man has come around." The lights came back on, and Becky Lynch was behind her. The pop from the crowd was deafening. AJ turned around, and Becky exploded, tackling her to the mat. Months of rage, pain, and humiliation poured out in every strike. She pummeled AJ with rights and lefts, dragging her across the announce table, slamming her face into the barricade. Security rushed out to separate them, but Becky wasn't done. She screamed, "You wanted the man. Well, now you've got her." That night marked Becky's official return, and the beginning of her path to revenge. The following weeks were chaos. Becky attacked AJ backstage, interrupted her matches, and left her laid out multiple times. WWE officials fined her repeatedly, but Becky didn't care. "This wasn't about money. This was personal," she told fans in a passionate promo. "Greater than, AJ Lee took something from me. She took my pride, my respect, my peace of mind. But I promise you this, I'm taking something from her in return. I'm taking her career." The match was set. Becky Lynch vs. AJ Lee at Extreme Rules, no holds barred. And this time, there would be no handshakes. No respect, just revenge. The night of Extreme Rules came, and the atmosphere was electric. The tension was thick. You could feel the hatred. AJ entered first, confident as ever, blowing sarcastic kisses to the crowd. Then Becky's music hit, and she stormed down the ramp like a woman possessed. The bell rang, and all hell broke loose. From the very first second, Becky attacked AJ with pure fury. She wasn't wrestling. She was fighting. AJ tried to retreat, but Becky followed her everywhere.